Hello and welcome back to Core Finance. I'm Matt Brown. This is the second of two videos today with David Paul, who is the MD of VectorVest. And we're going to be looking at 5 particular stocks that are of interest. So your first stock, which is Victoria PLC, and we were talking off air about this. They manufacture carpets, one of the biggest manufacturer of carpets in the UK and Australia. That's correct, and yes. Stock seems to be performing well. So just talk us through what the chart is telling you and where it could potentially go from here.
Well, yes, the candlestick chart represents the price action. Mm-hmm. In the thick green line above the price is the VectorVest valuation. So the share is trading below our valuation, and we favour undervalued shares. The blue line study in the window below the price is earnings per share growth, and as you can see, earnings per share growth are moving up the page from bottom left to top right, moving up linearly and smoothly, and that's the engine that's driving the share price up the page. As we all know, markets rarely do anything in straight lines. They rise in what technicians refer to as a series of rising bottoms. Mm-hmm. Charles Dow first talked about that 120 years ago. Along the top of the chart, we can see our buy, sell, and hold recommendation. Green is clearly buy, and Victoria went onto a buy signal from a hold as it broke out of a little triangular formation, and it's still on that buy recommendation. I added to the position a couple of days ago as it actually broke up through those highs. And on Q, markets tend to break in the fourth attempt, and it broke on the fourth attempt at that high and is moving higher. I would expect that to move up towards our valuation and probably overshoot our valuation. They normally do a little bit. So still quite a bit of legs in Victoria. Mm-hmm. But the model is the same for all the shares that I'm going to present here. I favour undervalued shares. I want to see a share that's moving up the page with little volatility, making a series of rising bottoms, and I want to see earnings per share growing strongly, and I can scan for those shares very, very easily indeed. Victoria, I've been talking about on the VectorVest blog, vectorvest.co.uk, and I've been talking about it to your predecessor Zach in here for many, many months now. I think we first mentioned it in when we got that first buy signal towards the end of 2006, and I've been holding that, and I've added to that 2 or 3 times now. When I'm right, I want to be big, and when I'm wrong, I want to be small.
That's the way you stay in the game. So yeah, doing well since 2016. Yeah. Moving on to the next stock, Quartz Marella, in the clothing.
Well, yeah, a recovery story here at Quartz Marella, and moving up the page, run, consolidation, run, consolidation, and sometimes the non-linearity of markets phases people, but they rarely do things in straight lines. They move strongly, consolidate, move strongly. Mathematicians refer to that as chaos, believe it or not, a non-linearity. As you can see, earnings per share rising strongly, undervalued, and it's broken out. We got a buy signal. Quite a few buy signals along the way. It gave the last buy signal a few days ago, and I've been adding into that share as well. And when we got that when the general market started to move up, then Quartz broke up with the general market a few days ago. The general market is really important. It's 70% of the exercise. So Quartz is an undervalued share that's growing earnings strongly, that's trending up the page, and we want to buy or add into that position when the general market is moving strongly up the page. And when you tick those boxes, I have 7 boxes to tick, and I'll be talking about those boxes in a 1-hour presentation at the investment show. And if you tick those boxes, then you get exceptionally lucky, and you can push your hit rate up to a level that's quite unusual in this line of work.
Fantastic. And moving on to 2 more stocks in the property sector, looking at Countryside Properties.
like Countryside Properties, it just moved on to a buy recommendation from a hold the other day. Again, the model is the same, significantly undervalued, growing earnings strongly, and it's just broken out of, for the technicians watching, it's just broken out of a flag formation. And as it broke the flag, it came back and kissed it, which was always a good sign. And it would seem now to be breaking up the page. So I expect a nice run in Countryside Properties over the next week or two, assuming the general market can hang in there. And as we know, there's nervous people around because tomorrow's a big 30-year anniversary. So, it looks sound to me. The market is strong on both sides of the pond, growing in breadth on both sides of the pond. So unless some form of an event comes out of the woodwork, I would expect that to continue.
Super. And final stock here, we're looking at, sorry, second to last, I do apologise. This is Taptica.
This is Taptica. I talked about this a few times ago when I was on here. It went sideways and consolidated in a 5-wave bull flag, like a textbook bull flag for the technicians watching. It broke up the page, it took out the 52-week high, came back and kissed the 52-week high. Undervalued on a buy recommendation, growing earnings strongly, and it looks to me as if there's more legs in that share yet. A very, very interesting story behind Taptica and growing very strongly indeed. You can just see the earnings per share growing, driving that share price up the page.
Super. And last but not least, Berkeley Group.
Well, yes, a big builder, and we could have picked quite a few big builders here, but it's on a buy recommendation, went on to a buy recommendation when the general market started to move up at the end of last month. Undervalued significantly, trending up the page with little volatility, earnings per share growing and pushing through a 52-week high. Came back yesterday and kissed the last old high, and I would expect that to move up the page quite strongly over the next weeks and months.
Fantastic. You've already mentioned the investing show. Just for our viewers, if they need to find out more about that, what time are you on?
Well, yes, I'm speaking at about... we have a presentation, I'm doing a breakfast meeting at 8:30, and then we have a presentation on our stand at about 9:30. I'm doing a talk in one of the auditoriums at 11, and we have another presentation at the stand in the early afternoon, and then I'm doing a 1-hour talk at 2:30 in the main auditorium. So if you come along to the investor show, it's at the Nova Hotel in Hammersmith, and we'll talk you through VectorVest, show you how to find undervalued shares that are growing earnings aggressively and safely, that are rising, and instruct you to buy them when the general market is rising. We also have a seminar in central London at the Chesterfield Hotel in Mayfair on the 11th of November, a Saturday afternoon from 1 till 4. So those that can't make this show, it'll be great to see you.
Fantastic. Well, David, it's been great to see you, as always. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.